So, without further ado, we are going into our very first topic. Rob, why don't you explain to the lovely people what this is, and then we will begin to go over what it is. We just did the watch along of this, which will be on our Patreon for our very special friends who would like to support us financially. But take it away, Rob.
So, way back in the ancient times of the year 1990, in the land of Great Britain, someone, this director and writer, decided to make a sitcom based off of the life of one Adolf Hitler. And I guess,
What?
well, obviously the just the concept of it was, like, what was it? What were they thinking?
Why would you do this?
But it was worse because it wasn't like, Mel Brooks doing the producers and making fun of Hitler. It was making Hitler try to be a likable, normal guy. And it just was like, how is it possible that this existed in 1990 in Britain? Like,
that's not going to work.
British people are pretty, pretty, as far as I know, are don't like to make light of the war because, they got friggin' blitzed. And, but yeah, this guy decided that Jeff Atkinson is his name, by the way, decided that he was going to write a show about Hitler. And, allegedly, his intention was not to lampoon Hitler and the Third Reich, but to lampoon the stereotypical 60s and 70s American sitcoms that would basically make a sitcom out of anything. You just took some random people, threw them in a situation, and they became a sitcom.
Yeah, but the formula does not work when you include Hitler.
No, absolutely not. It's
like you first of all, you should not put Hitler in anything, unless you're like beating him up somehow, or like or like something bad keeps happening to him. Like if he's there as comic relief, and like it's just like a running gag that something terrible happens to Hitler every time, then like, okay, good, let's point and laugh at this asshole.
Right.
But you can't have Hitler and Ava Braun sit down and be like a good old like Ralph Cramden and friggin' Alice.
No.
That's just not going to happen in any capacity. I'm still not. I don't know what. Like you can make Hitler be as nice and warm and friendly as possible, but I will never like this man.
No.
Like you can't do that.
Suffice to say, it only ran for one episode before it was canceled.
Yes, one episode. And of course, the show that we are talking about is, get a load of this, Heil Honey I'm Home. Not to be confused with the actual 50s sitcom Hi Honey I'm Home. This is Heil Honey, as in Heil Hitler. Honey, I'm home. That's a show.
Yes.
Someone greenlit this. Someone pitched this in a big meeting with other executives. Actually, here's what IMDb has to called it. In Berlin, 1938, Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun have a love-hate relationship with their Jewish neighbors in this bizarre spoof of 50s American sitcoms, because that worked, and somehow, like, somebody said that on, like, in there, like, in a boardroom, like, and they had prepared this, and they set it down, and this was, like, a serious discussion, and someone in the head of a network said, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that 1990 was a slow year for sitcoms in Great Britain.
Yeah. I hope so.
Because the fact that this got approved is just crazy enough. But so we've actually watched this, and anyone that is on the Patreon could see our watch along and our first reactions to it. Um, and it's not only like obviously offensive because it's Adolf Hitler and they're trying to make light of Adolf Hitler. It's just not a good sitcom. The only jokes that were actually got a little bit of a chuckle from us were the ones with the Jewish neighbors.
Yeah, and
So
they weren't like they were just badly written characters, but they were simply
yes,
just hokey neighbors that
yes,
happened to be Jewish. And by the way, their names are Arnie and Rosa Goldenstein, because Jewish people.
yeah.
And everything in their apartment is gold, too.
Yeah, it's like they've tried to make them the most stereotypical Jews possible. And of course, they live right next to Adolf Hitler
Because who wouldn't?
and Eva Braun. And it's just like... And I'd like to point out also that this show takes place in 1938, well into the anti-Semitic attacks on Jews and well into that whole era of oppression for Jewish people.
Yes.
Yet we're led to believe that Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun just have like a somewhat friendly. I mean, obviously, it's the stereotypical like I'm a sitcom dad and I hate my neighbors relationship, but they're still neighbors and they still get along somewhat.
Yeah, which would probably not happen which would not happen at all. First of all,
no.
Like the first encounter with them, like I mean, first of all, Hitler moving into the building would first he would probably send every Jewish person in the building to a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And then he would probably just move all of his other officers into the building. So I mean, not saying that anyone should try to do a sitcom about that.
No.
But this whole thing, it's just such a stupid idea. And and the fact that it was able to air on one episode on the Galaxy Channel, it was just canceled over one episode. But it shouldn't have even gotten to that episode. It's just dumb.
Yeah. If it was anything but Hitler, I would say maybe it could have gone for a few episodes, maybe for a full season before it was canceled. Because, again, it had a couple of kind of okay jokes that were very clearly very stereotypical and very, just sitcom tropes.
Completely but it's a completely tasteless show. Oh, there's also the other thing in there where Army Goldenstein's his, I guess it's his niece.
I think it was his niece. Yeah,
I think it was his niece. That what the hell is his name? The prime minister guy who
and Neville Chamberlain.
Neville Chamberlain's coming to dinner basically on the first episode, and as a gag, the Goldensteins want to fix up his their niece Ruth with Neville Chamberlain. Now, Ruth, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like Ruth is special.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely implied that she's mentally challenged in some way.
Yeah, it's just crass isn't the word. It's just completely tasteless crap.
Yeah, it's beyond raunchy comedy. It's to a point where it's really.
It's not even raunchy. Raunchy is more dirty stuff.
Right. Well, I'm talking about I guess off color. It's beyond that point. It's not just being it's not like Robert Downey Jr. playing a black man in Tropic Thunder. That was off color, and it was and when he does the whole the full retard thing, that was a huge controversy. Yeah. But it was still funny, and it was off color, but it was still funny.
It was funny because it was intentionally they were intentionally saying this is not okay. This is really stupid. You should not do that. That's why he doesn't win anything for that performance, and that's why that performance is panning. It just basically kills his career to do anything serious because he goes overboard with it, and he's you can't do this. Like they're like, because then he's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, not slow, not special, autistic.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Where,
And then yeah,
where you have that, but that's another movie altogether, and
right.
that could be an episode one day.
Well, I mean that could be an episode, I guess.
It could
because,
be. I mean, it's not really like a why does this exist in like
a bad way. It's a kind of like how did this exist? Because it's such a silly concept. And anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
So the Ruth, the niece Ruth is kind of implied to be somewhat mentally challenged, or at least severely socially awkward.
Yeah.
So Arnie and Rosa, I believe Rosa Goldstein are trying to set up their somewhat, like I said, mentally challenged niece with Neville Chamberlain, who is coming over to eat dinner at the Hitler's house because Hitler has just taken over Czechoslovakia.
Oh, God.
And so Neville Chamberlain is coming over to basically, yell at him and give him a slap on the wrist for that, which I guess is somewhat reflective of reality, because that's basically what Chamberlain did.
Right.
But they make it seem like
Hitler's
trying to and Hitler's trying to convince Neville Chamberlain that he's a regular stand-up guy.
Yeah,
Hitler.
Can't, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a part of like they just the jokes are just so poor, and they're just so it just bothers me thinking about it. But it's it's so stupid where there's and just offensive where there's one part where Hitler's nervous or something like that. So to calm himself down, he starts thinking of Poland and when he invaded them, and he gets all these warm and fuzzy feelings. And it's this is not a fucking joke, man.
No. I mean, and again,
people fucking died.
It's possible to make a comedy with Nazis involved, but there's only one of two ways you could do that. You either are making them look like complete idiots and complete fools,
like
MASH, the producers.
Yeah, or MASH. MASH?
Yes. Well, no, MASH takes place during the Korean War.
Oh, okay. So what the hell am I thinking of?
Or
Hogan. No, it's Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan's Heroes, right?
That's the one.
Hogan's
Where
Heroes.
all the Nazis were just idiots.
Yes, exactly. Or you're killing them, as in Quentin Tarantino's
Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards, which has obviously some comedic elements, and they're there to kill the Nazis.
Right? Or you could just or if it's a la Little Nicky, where where Hitler's in a hell and they shove pineapples up his ass.
Exactly.
You can't. There is no way to you can put Nazis in things, but they have to get their comeuppance every single time. Yes. There is no friendly Nazi show.
Well, I mean, there probably is, but I'm sure it's not something that a normal person would want to watch.
Well, other than this, it's not anything I've seen, but if there are more strange Nazi shows that should not be but are, please email these stupid ideas called why does this exist show at gmail.com and let us know just how many idiots tried this and it actually worked. I gotta say, the other thing is there's a lot of how big was the team of writers and everything on this?
I mean, you think about how all these people that were on this show, they had to write a theme song. They had to hire
I'll get to that.
Musicians. They had to hire people to do lighting and obviously I'm sure there was people that were on this that were probably I don't know why I took this job. I'm just here to make a paycheck. I'm probably going to ruin my career. I don't imagine there was many people on this show that were yeah, this is a great idea, and I'm going to make my career.
I'm sure you had just as many people on one end of the spectrum as you did on the other.
Well, that's a little scary.
I'm sure there are. Listen, if all these network executives greenlit this, somebody thought that they saw dollars when there were fractions of pennies to be made. But yes, they created a theme song, and they actually created an animated opening title, to coincide with like the '50s era sitcoms like Bewitched, where like they just had like the little hokey opening, like animated opening, and then like the show was live action. The live action, the original theme song was just like a title card, like it just had a title card in the opening, but there was an animated opening on this thing too. And yeah, here we go. Can you see this on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here we go.
Heil Honey.
Oh, God.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Hello.
I'm home.
It's like they're
Honey.
trying to
Smile
satirize this. It's fucking
because I'm
terrible.
home. Gee, it's great to be Top Gun, but it's nothing like the
It's
fun.
crazy. Like, imagine being the animator that is tasked with making this little rule. You're probably like, what the hell are they thinking doing this? Like, the animator's probably like, this is gonna like end my career. Like,
Yeah, like, how do you approve this? How do you sell it to the animator? How do you say like, hey, dude, we got this great project. You're gonna draw Hitler and Eva Braun and two Jewish people like just cooking over an oven.
yeah, and
By the way, it'll be for a theme song for like our TV show, or like you had to pay the musicians. Yeah, or like, could you imagine the musicians, like, they get, like, they're sitting in the recording studio, and they're like, all right, let's go. Like, they walk in, they take their instruments out of the case, they sit down, they're chatting about their weekend, like they're having their morning coffee, and the casting person comes in who does it, or, like, the studio engineer comes in, who has also been paid to do this and goes into it knowing exactly what the hell he's about to accomplish. He walks in, the conductor gets the sheet music, the other guy gets the sheet music, the other guy gets the sheet music, and they look at it and they collectively go, Heil, honey, I'm home.
Well,
Can you imagine the guy who's singing it.
If
Smile.
you were just a musician, like a session musician, if you didn't hear the lyrics, maybe you just thought, it's just some stupid
that's
hokey
true.
sitcom theme.
That's
They might
true.
have just been there like, okay, we're just doing a little friggin' stereotypical sitcom music. Okay, that's easy. Boom, done. Paycheck. And next they're bringing in the vocalist who's gonna sing "Heil Honey, I'm Home." Heil Honey, like. And then, like, imagine like years later, they're just like looking, they're channel surfing. They just come across this show and like, oh my god, this is the song that I performed. This is the sitcom jingle. Oh my god, what have I done? Like,